Okay guys, so I released a video about packing and storing Chaosmos Expanded Edition, putting the expansion and the base game together in just the expansion box. And I received, at least privately, some pushback from people who basically just didn't believe that I was fitting it all in the box. And I admit that it was a rambling video, so I'm going to try to be faster. I'm just going to show you exactly how I store this thing. Okay, so let's do it. All right, so this is how I do it. This is the base game and the expansion in one box. Right on. So as I mentioned in one of the other videos, I keep the Cosmic Pool on the very top, and it's just because there's no specific part of the box that was intended for it. So that's how I do it. It is what it is. Same thing with the Void. I keep the Void on top just because it kind of makes the Cosmic Pool look nice when the two of them are together. I put this rule book on top. Then I put the fold-out board, and then underneath the fold-out board I put the other rule book, and that's just because, as I mentioned before, the fold-out board gets scratched easily, and so putting the rule books sort of as the bread in the fold-out board sandwich seems to help. All right. Okay, so none of that's controversial, right? We all agree that all of that works great. Okay, so I like to store the cards inside the boxes. I like to preload the boxes in advance, but let's be real. Apparently I'm one of the few people who likes to do that. So I'm not going to try to do that today. We're gonna fit it all without doing that. So just to show I'm not a liar, there's no cards in here. If you want the Barren Planet tile, very few people play that variant where you actually need this, but you can keep the Barren Planet tile in this, or you can throw it away or keep it in your other box. Okay, so that's that. That's fine. Just to show you, I'm using all the cards. This is the small deck you can keep here. If it's sleeved, I believe it may not quite fit. I can't remember if it fits with the sleeves, but just to prove that you can fit it with the sleeves, I've left the sleeves here just to prove that there is a way to make this work. Okay. Okay, Planet Effect tokens and all the other tokens. So there's 32 Planet Effect tokens, a bunch of other tokens, like there's some planet tokens for when you're playing with only 10 planets, but you want to play with some of the newer aliens that require the new planets. You can use these tokens, like Taliscate and Issachar. But for the most part, it's just these. I took out most of the base tokens because I'm using the new miniature bases. Base tokens look like this. Oopsie. That's what a base token looks like. But again, I think you can probably just leave those out if you have the new plastic miniatures. So that's where I keep all the tokens. Now, I do think that you should use these are the Chaos tokens. You don't need probably all of them, but that's more than enough. Chaos tokens are fine. You need those in the game. I did end up taking the old school triangular landing flags out. There was just too much stuff, and I honestly just don't use them that much. You might save a couple of those, but you don't need the landing flags, the old landing flags, if you have the new ones. Okay, you only need about 20 of these hyper tokens. Get rid of the old hyper tokens, the old flat circular red ones, if you have the nice ones. Okay, moving on. Now, let's talk about the 3 ways that my critics, if I'm sort of facetious here, but people who are skeptical that you can actually fit everything into the box, the 3, I think, mistakes they make. Number 1, some of the bags, I noticed, the bags are supposed to have a little tiny hole in them, like, well, anyway, you can imagine a hole. There's supposed to be a hole in some of these bags, and the hole lets you push out all the extra air really easily. I think a lot of people basically have all these air bubbles in their bags. You got to kind of squeeze all that out. So that's mistake number 1. Mistake number 2, I think people are making, they are trying to store their alien miniatures in the bags with the alien boards, that is just impossible. I mean, that's just not going to work. Let's just be real here. So don't do that. That's and the same thing with the if you have the plastic landing flags. See, I keep my landing flags. Look at this. This is going to blow everyone's mind. I keep them in their own individual bags, but fully set up. Look at that. Set up. See, they're ready to go. Look at that. See? What do you know? So, and they go right here. This section here looks like it's for a card deck, and you can keep your card deck there if you have space for it. It kind of depends, but this is just how I do it. I'm not telling you how to do it. That's just how I do it. Okay, so all the landing flags for all 14 aliens. If you have multiple kinds of landing flags, like the old school PVC ones, you can't do both. That's silly. I keep the if you have bases, the plastic bases, and the dice, I just stuff them in there. But you know, they could just sit on top there if you want, on top of the deck. That's fine. Okay. So there's 14 of these. If you include the barren planet and the singularity gate, 14, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, plus the temple clock. Now don't stick your original clock in there and the temple clock. That's not really going to work. I mean, maybe you could have the old school clock sitting on top if you wanted, but honestly, just use one clock for all your business. Well, you know, let me not tell you how to do it. Do it however you want to do it. But this is how I do it. I just have one clock. Now, I don't play with sleeved cards because I have an infinity of these brand new decks. So if I ever mess up a card, I throw it in the garbage and get a different one. I admit with sleeved cards, you're going to have to be a little bit more creative. So I accept that. That's just a simple reality. As I mentioned in the other video, I keep my old deck, my original deck from the base game. I do keep it in here. It's underneath the plastic. I have never needed it, but in theory you might need to, depending on the events or whatever. So I can fit all my stuff on top of the expansion deck if it's unsleeved. Now if it's sleeved, that's fine. You can store it here and then take some of your, but you'll have to take your flags or whatever else was here and put some of them down here and some of them over. You'll have to split up the flags if you do it that way, which is fine. Do it however you want to do it. A lot of people said, oh, well, I have space for everything, but I don't have enough space for the tiles. But you do actually have space for the tiles because you have space right here. Look at this. No problem. There it is right there. Look at that. So that's how I do the tiles. You could do the tiles a different way. That's fine. But I don't put them on top here. I push them off to the side. So tiles. And let's, just to prove that I'm not a liar here, we've got 6 tiles, AA, BB, CC, from the original base game. And then all the tiles, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The trapezoids from the, if you're playing a 6-player modular board, you want to build that big weird circle thing. So all the tiles that you need, plus of course the cosmic pool and the void are over there. Okay, now this is Joey's copy because I've been giving away whenever someone says, oh, I'm missing this or I'm missing that, I tend to accidentally take, I confuse my personal copy with the spare parts copy, and so I'm always removing things from my copy and then not having it. Okay, so this is all of the 14 alien shields, and again, you let out the air bubble. Let out the air bubble. A lot of you are probably wondering why I don't personally keep the player shields inside the bags with the individual aliens, and it's not about conserving space. It's because I like to give people a choice of 2 or 3 aliens at random, and keeping the shields on the other side of the alien bags reveals the color of which alien they're choosing. So that's just a personal preference. You can easily store the player shields with the aliens in the bags. Look at this. So this is all, look at this, all of the, look at that, perfect. Everything you could possibly need for the game, and it fits easily. So Eternic, again, if you want to play with the little small flags, you could keep the small flags in here as long as they're flat. Look at that. A Turnic. Hammy. Tertalja. Vroon. So here's how I do it. This is how I suggest doing it. See how they bulge slightly on one side, whichever side has the ally and the upgrade tile? I store the first half with them this way, but then there's this cant here, this angle. Then I take the other ones, slide these to the other side. It keeps it so it's flat. Does that make sense? You can actually save about an inch of extra space doing it that way. So this is Kiwen. So see, he's got his little Kiwen token. So we've got, with Dreeg, Dreeg's got the Polytoxic token and the AB, AC, BC, BA tokens. Is it the Arbiter? Is it's got the answer tokens, right? Like so. So it's pretty, this stuff is pretty simple here. It's really not rocket science. I'm gonna put it all back in to show this is not a scam. And I wouldn't scam you guys. So let me see. How did I do this? Okay, so this is on this side. So this is like this. Oh, you don't have to flip it upside down. You just turn it. You turn it this way. Yeah, there it is. All right. Bloom, bloom, bloom. All the haters gonna hate, hate, hate. I'm not gonna lie, there really haven't been any haters. Everyone's been awesome. Stuff that in there. This can go down there. Ooh, look at that. I could actually do it on that side. That's kind of nice. Anything that I didn't show you in this video, you do not need to keep with you to play either the base game or the expansion. It is, but there's very little. I mean, there were so few things like the extra landing flags. I ended up just not even showing it here in the video because it's just not necessary. Just so few things don't fit. Everything fits. It's fine. Everything fits fine. All right. Oh, you hear that air? You got to let that air out. This is how I do it. If I said I did it a different way in the other video, then I've changed my ways since recording it. Look at that. Easily. Easily. No cap, guys. No cap. And finally, the box cover. We are done. Have a nice day.